I'm lazy as hell, so recently after Google updated their AI Gemini, you know I had to see if it could finally make a Roblox game from start to finish. You see, in the past, I've tried using ChatGPT to help me script my games, but it hasn't been very good at it. It makes a lot of mistakes, and the worst part is it keeps leaving emojis in the scripts it makes. Today, I decided to open up a new base plate and give Google's new AI model Gemini the reins. But before I could do that, I needed to decide what kind of game I wanted to make. After seeing the success of Grow a Garden, I realized that players yearn to touch grass. I decided to make the simplest game possible, a game about watching grass grow. Obviously, this alone would be pretty boring, so I added a twist. At the start of each round, players place down a lawn chair on the map to watch grass grow. A disaster happens, and whoever stays on the lawn chair for the longest wins. That way, there's a bit of strategy and a luck element to the game, since players not only need to survive, but also find the best place to put down their chair. I then gave all of these instructions to the new Gemini Pro that's specialized for coding to see what it could do. It first told me to build a map, so being the pro builder I am with all of my experience, I came up with this phenomenal build featuring a gorgeous, unkempt, boundless field of wild grassland and a contemporary minimalist lobby. After that was done, it gave me a round manager script, which looked clean, worked, and best of all, it had no emojis in it. It also gave a pretty detailed explanation of the code, which I think is actually very useful to anyone new and trying to learn how to script, so that's a plus too. So the round system was working, with players teleporting to the map when the round starts, and back to the lobby when the round ends. The next step was the lawn chair. This would be a bit more difficult since this would require a custom tool. Tools can be problematic for AI since they're not as straightforward as a script. So what is a tool? Tools are objects that humanoids can equip. Every tool needs a part called a handle, which lets the player actually hold the tool. On top of that, tools with multiple parts need to be welded together or else they fall apart. And lastly, tools can't be anchored in place, or you can't move. There are a lot of things to consider, particularly for the AI, which I assume deals mostly in scripts. But surprisingly, it gave me all of the instructions to make a lawn chair, and it mostly worked. I'm just going to preface from this point on, for some reason the footage was corrupted and the file is just like a PowerPoint presentation. I actually had my friend James on call and was streaming the process to him. He scripts really well, so I kept him as a hedge in case Gemini screwed something over. After this, Gemini started to really have some problems. Since my footage is completely cooked, I can't really show you, but here's a list of the things it did wrong. It got script types mixed up. The script to place chairs was a server script that used player get mouse. This doesn't work since the server doesn't have a mouse for the player. I told it to fix this immediately, and after this, it gave me instructions to modify the server script and use remote events, which ended up getting really messy and I had to ask it to redo a lot of things. Secondly, the chairs I placed would keep falling apart, despite me welding everything together. Stupid ass Gemini kept saying my beautiful lawn chair wasn't properly welded together when it clearly was. After I finally got that fixed, I asked it to make me a natural disaster event. It did manage to do this to its credit, but there were a lot of problems. It helped me make a script for a lava rising event, which worked until it didn't. At the start, the lava would kill players instantly. After nerfing that, the lava would slowly kill you, but for some reason, when you were seated on the lawn chair, you simply wouldn't die. All in all, it was just a lot of problems. Remember how I said I had James on the call the entire time? The fact that Gemini made a lot of mistakes is bad enough, but it's worse because it couldn't easily fix itself. I'd have to remind it specifically which script we needed to change, which then would require another script that was dependent on it to change, which was just slow and frustrating. And furthermore, the chat itself was just becoming really laggy with how much text it was loading. And after all that, James would just be able to fix it quickly and without the hassle. I think the worst part is, it was just boring. I personally enjoy making games, and getting AI to do it kills the joy in it. To its credit, I think it can make a pretty decent enough game if you yourself understand the framework of how things in Roblox Studio work. It could probably have done better if I was more patient with it. I still think it is excellent at teaching, but it's not powerful enough to craft a game completely on its own. So I said to James, fuck it, and closed Gemini and decided to continue to make the game, but instead without its help. I logged in and built a lobby in the retro slot, but trending, unfortunately, stud style, giving it some shops for players to buy lawn chairs, some leaderboards, and some more greenery. I also added a little lake. I also decided it was a good time to maybe finally make a proper map instead of my first attempt, so I started on a post-apocalyptic themed build with a gas station and some abandoned housing. I then realized later that it was too small of a map, so I almost quadrupled the size and redid the map again. I also got Noah, one of my devs from Aviary, to help build some assets, potentially for a prison-themed map. Some of you may be wondering what's going on with Aviary and why I disappeared for like a month. To be completely honest, after spending a year on Aviary, I needed time off. I sacrificed a ton of slightly important things such as my university degree and job, which I really needed to get back on track. Like, my grades hella tanked, and my parents are finna beat my ass. Furthermore, I think after Fish died, there was a boom of Beaks and Grow a Garden, which led to Roblox being flooded with mutation and size hunting games. I knew Aviary couldn't really compete with these games, at least not anymore. I lost motivation and decided to get my life back together. I didn't stop development completely though. James had uni, so he was busy, and since he's an exceptionally better scripter than me, development was really slow. I made some silly projects to practice without him, and really worked on my scripting. If you're interested at all, these include Steal a Pet Rock, Tower of Gubby, and even a Squid Game one after Season 3 was released. I was also featured in a RoDev video, which was pretty cool. I didn't publish half of these mini projects since they were mostly just to practice my skills in different sectors, such as animation, scripting, and even modeling. Anyway, a few weeks ago after I stopped failing my classes, I decided to lock back in to watch grass grow, which is now going to be my main project. I posted a shitpost TikTok a month ago and it randomly blew up, so I guess I'll need to be more accountable and get back into game development. This is the current state of the game right now, so follow along if you want to continue to see development on it. I'll leave a Discord in the description, and in retribution, you may feel free to ping me if you think I've been slacking. But yeah, I've made custom movement and animations for the game, and plan on adding a ton of maps and disasters. Hopefully enough people will like this silly little game idea. Let me know what ideas you want in the game, and follow the TikTok too. I mostly ask people for ideas there, and in a lot of cases, things they request do get added. I believe I added job applications as a disaster, and I also put someone's avatar in the map. Anyway, thank you for watching, I am back, and I will see you guys in the next one.